Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Easy English Podcast. I'm Hannah, and as always, I'm here with my co-host and good friend, Alex. How are you today, Alex?
Hey, Hannah. I am doing great, thank you. And a big, warm welcome to all of our listeners joining us from around the world. I am really excited about today's episode.
Me too, Alex. Today, we have a very special, beginner-friendly story for you. It is an everyday story that I think almost everyone can relate to. We are going to talk about a character named Sarah, who gets a wonderful surprise, goes to her favorite local cafe, but then, well, she faces a little bit of an awkward situation at the cash register.
Uh-oh, the dreaded cash register surprise. We have all been there, haven't we? You think everything is fine, and then, boom, a little problem happens. But don't worry, listeners. This story has a great, polite negotiation and a quick change of plans that will teach us some excellent real-life English vocabulary.
Exactly. It is all about how we handle these little daily challenges with a smile and some good communication. Before we start the story, let's explain a couple of useful words that our listeners will hear. Alex, what is the first word?
The first word is gift card. A gift card is a small plastic card, or sometimes a digital card, that has a specific amount of money on it. You can use it to buy things at a specific store or cafe. For example, my sister gave me a $10 gift card for my favorite bookstore on my birthday.
That is a perfect example. And the second word is expired. If something is expired, it means it is past its valid date and you cannot use it anymore. For example, "Oh no, this milk expired yesterday. I should not drink it." Or, in our story, a gift card can expire if you wait too long to use it.
Yes, expired is a very important word to know. Now, let's set the scene for our story. Imagine a bright, sunny Saturday morning. Our main character is Sarah. Sarah is a busy college student who works hard all week. But today is Saturday, her day off, and she is feeling exceptionally happy.
Yes, and the reason she is so happy is that she was cleaning her desk this morning and found something wonderful. Right under a notebook, she found a beautiful, shiny gift card to the Daily Grind. Now, the Daily Grind is the most popular, trendy cafe in her neighborhood.
Oh, I love that name for a cafe. The daily grind is such a common English idiom. The grind means hard daily work. So a cafe called the Daily Grind is a place where you go to take a break from your hard work and enjoy a delicious coffee.
That is right. So, Sarah looks at the cart. It has a big, friendly, smiley face on it, and it says $20. $20! For a student, $20 is like a treasure. She immediately starts dreaming of what she can buy.
I can only imagine. If I had a $20 gift card to my favorite cafe, I would be planning my order immediately. What is Sarah dreaming about, Hannah?
Well, Sarah is a big fan of sweet things. She immediately thinks of their famous double chocolate muffins. They are warm, soft, and have extra chocolate chips on top. And of course, she wants a large iced caramel macchiato with extra whipped cream.
Stop, Hannah. You are making me hungry. A double chocolate muffin and an iced caramel macchiato sound absolutely perfect. That is the ultimate weekend treat.
I know, right? So Sarah puts on her favorite comfortable shoes, grabs her keys, slides the gift card safely into her pocket, and walks out the door. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and she is walking with a little bounce in her step.
Ah, a bounce in her step. That is another lovely idiom. It means she's walking happily and energetically because she's excited. She's not just walking, she's almost dancing towards that cafe.
Yes, she reaches the cafe in about 10 minutes. As she opens the door, a little bell rings above her head. Clink! Immediately, the wonderful smell of roasted coffee beans and freshly baked pastries hits her nose. The cafe is cozy,
filled with the sound of quiet chatter, soft jazz music, and the steam from the espresso machine.
That sounds so relaxing. It is the perfect atmosphere. Sarah walks over to the glass display case. This is where they keep all the delicious baked goods. She looks inside and her eyes go wide. There are croissants, cookies, scones, and yes, right there in the middle, she sees them.
The double chocolate muffins. And luckily, there are only 2 left. She thinks to herself, wow, today is my lucky day. I got here just in time. She stands in the line, waiting her turn. There are 2 people in front of her. She reaches into her pocket and holds the gift card. She feels so prepared and happy.
This is a great feeling. You have the card in your hand, you know exactly what you want, and you are just waiting to order. But as we know, stories always have a little twist, don't they, Hannah?
Oh, before we keep going, I just wanted to say that if you're enjoying our stories, taking a second to like this video or subscribe really helps us reach other learners around the world.
It really does. And please leave any English questions you have in the comments. We read and reply to them all. Anyway, back to our shopping story.
They certainly do. The line moves quickly. Soon it is Sarah's turn. The cashier is a young man with a friendly smile and a green apron. He says, "Hi there. Welcome to the daily grind. What can I get started for you today?" And Sarah is ready. She smiles back and says her order very clearly. Exactly. She says, "Hello, I would love a large hot latte with oat milk and one of those delicious double chocolate muffins, please." The cashier taps on his screen. He says, "Awesome choice. That muffin is amazing. Will that be all for today?"
And Sarah says, yes, that is everything. Thank you. The cashier hits a button on his register and says, great, that comes to $9.50. Now, this is the moment. This is when Sarah proudly holds out her bright blue gift card.
She says, "I will be paying with this today." She has a big smile on her face. The cashier says, "Perfect, I can scan that for you." He takes his handheld scanner, which is a small machine that reads barcodes with a red laser light, and he points it at the back of her card.
Ah, the scanner. We all know that sound. It goes beep. But then something strange happens. The computer screen doesn't show a green light or a success message. Instead, a little red box pops up on the screen and the register makes a low, sad sound, like bloop.
Oh no, not the bloop sound. That is never a good sign at a cash register. The cashier looks at the screen and his eyebrows go up in surprise. He tries to scan it again. He points the red light, clicks the button, and beep! But again, the screen shows the same red error message.
This is so relatable. You are standing there waiting and you start to feel a little bit nervous. Sarah's smile fades a little. She asks, is everything okay? Is the machine working?
The cashier looks at the card, flips it over, and then looks back at his screen. He says, "I'm really sorry, but the system is saying this card has a 0 balance." Let's pause here. 0 balance is a great phrase to learn.
Yes, balance in this context means the amount of money that is inside an account or on a card. If you have a 0 balance, it means there is absolutely no money left on it. It is completely empty. $0.
Sarah is shocked. She says, "Oh, really? That is so strange. My friend just gave it to me last week as a birthday present. I am sure it should have $25 on it. Is there any way you can check again?" She is trying to stay very polite, but her heart is beating a little faster.
That is a very natural reaction. When something goes wrong with money, we often feel embarrassed or confused. The cashier is very nice. He says, "Of course, let me type in the card number manually." To type something manually means to do it by hand, using the keyboard instead of using the automatic scanner.
Right. So he slowly types in the long number on the back of the card. 1, 5, 4, 9, and so on. He hits the enter key.
The computer loads for a second. Sarah is holding her breath, hoping it was just a technical glitch. A glitch is a small, temporary problem with a computer or a machine.
But unfortunately, it is not a glitch. The cashier looks up with a sympathetic face. Sympathetic means he feels bad for her and understands her situation. He says, "I am so sorry. It still says 0. But wait, let me look at the transaction history. Ah, I see what happened."
Oh, what happened? Did her friend accidentally buy an empty card, or did someone else use it?
The cashier says it looks like this card was bought 3 years ago, and there is an expiration date on the back in tiny letters. It expired last month.
Wow. An expiration date is the date when a card or a product is no longer valid or useful.
Oh, that is the worst. The card actually had money on it, but because it sat in a drawer for too long, the time ran out. The money is gone.
Sarah feels her face getting warm. She looks behind her. There are now 3 more people waiting in line, and she feels like everyone is watching her.
We have all been there. It's that classic moment of pressure. You want to disappear, but Sarah handles it beautifully. She takes a deep breath, smiles, and begins a polite negotiation. A negotiation is a discussion where you try to reach an agreement.
Yes, she doesn't get angry. She doesn't raise her voice. Instead, she says, "Oh, I see. That is such a pity. I didn't realize it had an expiration date. Since it only expired a few weeks ago, is there any way the store can honor it? Or maybe I can speak to a manager to see if we can reactivate it."
To honor a card or a coupon means to accept it even if there is a small problem, like it being slightly expired. It is a gesture of good customer service. The cashier appreciates how polite she is. He says, "Let me check with my manager. She is just in the back office. Hold on one moment."
This is a great lesson in politeness. If Sarah had started yelling or complaining, the cashier probably would have just said, "No, sorry, rules are rules." But because she was sweet and calm, he is happy to help her. He walks to the back room, leaving Sarah at the register.
While he is gone, Sarah looks at her phone. She is thinking of a backup plan. She realizes she has her debit card in her purse, but she also looks at her banking app to make sure she has enough money. It is always good to have a backup plan, an alternative plan in case your first plan fails.
Definitely. After a minute, the cashier comes back with a woman wearing a black shirt. She must be the manager. The manager smiles at Sarah and says, "Hi, Sarah. I hear you have an expired gift card. I looked at the system, and because it is our store's policy, we cannot reactivate expired cards. I am very sorry about that."
Oh, so the answer is no. That is a shame. But the manager continues, "However, since you were so understanding, and since it only expired recently, I can offer you a 10% discount on your order today if you like to pay with another method."
Wow, that is a very nice compromise. A compromise is an agreement where both sides get a little bit of what they want, even if it is not perfect. Sarah doesn't get to use the $25, but she does get her food and drink for a cheaper price.
Alex says, Sarah's face lights up. She says, "That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much. I will definitely take that deal." She quickly pulls her debit card out of her purse and taps it on the payment terminal. Beep! This time, it is a happy beep. The payment goes through perfectly.
That happy beep is the best sound in the world when you are standing in a long line at a cafe. So Sarah gets her delicious warm blueberry muffin and her iced caramel macchiato. She says a big thank you to the cashier and the manager, takes her brown paper bag and her cup, and walks over to a cozy corner table near the window.
What a relief. She sits down on a soft green armchair and takes a big sip of her iced coffee. It tastes even better because of the adventure she just went through. But Hannah, think about this. If she did not negotiate so politely, she would have walked out of that cafe hungry, thirsty, and probably very upset. This is a perfect example of how communication can change your day.
Exactly. Let us look closely at the language she used. When she first found out the card had zero balance, she did not say, "Your machine is broken," or "You are lying." Instead, she used a very useful phrase. "Are you sure?" This is a gentle way to ask someone to double-check their information without sounding rude or aggressive. For example, if your friend says the museum is closed today, you can say, "Are you sure? I thought it was open until late."
That is a great phrase. Another one she used was, is there any way to check? This is what we call an indirect question. Instead of asking, can you check, which can sound a bit demanding, she asked, is there any way to check? It sounds much softer and more polite. It shows that you understand there might be a limit to what they can do, but you're gently asking them to try.
Yes, we often use "is there any way" when we want to ask for a favor or when we are in a difficult situation. For example, "Is there any way I can hand in my homework tomorrow?" Or "Is there any way we can get a table near the window?" It's an excellent phrase for intermediate English learners to practice because it immediately makes you sound more polite and diplomatic.
And did you notice how Sarah kept her voice calm and low? Sometimes when people get nervous or angry, their voice gets louder and higher. That can make the other person feel attacked. By keeping her voice soft, she kept the situation relaxed. The cashier did not feel stressed, so he wanted to help her. In English, we often say, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
That is so true, Alex. Tone of voice is everything. Now, let us talk about the word compromise again. This is a very important word in daily life. A compromise is when two people have different ideas or goals, but they agree on something in the middle, so everyone is happy. For example, if you want to watch an action movie and your friend wants to watch a comedy, a compromise would be watching an action comedy movie.
Or if you want to go to an expensive restaurant and your friend wants to save money, a compromise could be going to a nice, affordable local diner. In Sarah's case, the store could not give her the free $25, and Sarah could not get her lunch for free. But the compromise was a 10% discount. The store made a sale, and Sarah saved some money. It was a win-win situation.
A win-win situation is another fantastic English idiom. It means a situation where both sides get a good result. I love that expression. Now, let's think about what we can learn from Sarah's experience with the gift card itself. Have you ever had a gift card expire on you, Alex?
Oh, many times. It is actually a very common problem. People receive gift cards for their birthday or for Christmas. They put them in a drawer and then they completely forget about them. Then, 2 years later, they find the card, get all excited, go to the store, and find out it is useless. It is so disappointing.
I have a tip for our listeners to prevent this from happening. When you get a gift card, immediately look for the expiration date. It is usually printed in very small letters on the back of the card. Once you find it, write it down on a sticky note and put it on your fridge, or better yet, put a reminder in your phone's calendar. Set the reminder for 1 month before the card expires.
That is a brilliant tip, Hannah. I should start doing that. Another trick is to keep your gift cards in your wallet right next to your regular debit or credit cards. If you keep them in a drawer at home, you will definitely forget them. But if they're in your wallet, you will see them every time you open it to pay for something. You'll think, oh, I have a gift card for this shop. Let me use it today.
Absolutely. Keep them visible. Now, let us play a little game to practice some of the vocabulary we learned today. I will describe a situation, and you have to tell me which word or phrase from our story fits best. Are you ready, Alex?
I am always ready for a game. Let's do it.
Okay, here's the first one. You want to buy a ticket for a concert, but the website says the tickets are completely sold out. You decide to call the ticket office to see if there is any small chance they have a spare ticket left. What polite phrase can you use to ask them?
I would use the phrase we just talked about. Is there any way? I could say, hi, I see the concert is sold out, but is there any way you have an extra ticket available?
Perfect. That is exactly right. It sounds so much better than saying, give me a ticket.
Okay, here is the second scenario. You are planning a weekend trip with your brother. You want to go camping in the mountains, but he wants to stay in a comfortable hotel in the city. After talking for a while, you agree to rent a cozy cabin in the woods. It has beds like a hotel, but it is in nature like camping. What is this agreement called?
That is a compromise. You both got a little bit of what you wanted. You get the beautiful nature, and he gets a comfortable bed to sleep in. That is a great compromise, and honestly, a cabin in the woods sounds amazing right now.
It really does. Okay, last one. You are at a restaurant and you want to pay for your meal. You search your pockets, but your wallet is not there. You realize you left it at home. However, you have your phone with your mobile payment app ready to go. What is your phone in this situation?
That is my backup plan. It is the alternative plan that saves the day when my first plan, using my physical wallet, fails.
Spot on, Alex. Your backup plan saved you from washing dishes at the restaurant. You passed the quick quiz with flying colors. It is so helpful to see how these vocabulary words and phrases fit into real everyday situations.
Thank you, Hannah. I must say, playing these little scenario games really helps to lock the vocabulary in my mind. When you connect a word like compromise or backup plan to a real story, it becomes so much easier to remember when you are actually speaking English in real life.
Exactly. And for our listeners today, we really want to make sure you feel confident the next time you find yourself in a tricky shopping situation. So let us do a quick summary of the key phrases we learned from Leo's story at the coffee shop.
Great idea. Let us start with the first one we discussed. To be short on cash or to be short on money. This means you do not have enough money with you at that moment to pay for something. For example, I wanted to buy a book, but I was short on cash, so I had to put it back.
Yes, and then we have the phrase to tap a card. This is the modern, quick way of paying, where you just hold your credit card or phone near the payment machine. You don't need to insert it or type a PIN code. You just tap and go.
I love tapping my card. It is so fast. Next, we have valid. We use this to talk about the gift card. If something is valid, it is acceptable, usable, or active. If it is expired, it is no longer valid. For example, you need a valid passport to travel to another country.
And don't forget the phrase, is there any way? We use this when we want to make a polite request, especially when we think the answer might be no, but we still want to try. For example, is there any way I can change my appointment to tomorrow?
That is a super useful one for polite negotiations. And finally, we have compromise. This is when two people have different ideas, but they agree on something in the middle so that both are happy. Like, we wanted different foods, so we made a compromise and ordered pizza.
Such a classic compromise. Pizza always wins. And of course, always have a backup plan. Your second option, just in case things do not go as expected. Like Leo, using his debit card when his gift card had zero balance.
Absolutely. It is always good to have a backup plan for your payments and, honestly, a backup plan for life in general.
So true, Alex. Well, we have come to the end of our episode today. I hope our listeners enjoyed Leo's coffee shop adventure and learned some helpful English words to use the next time they are shopping or dining out.
I had a lot of fun today, Hannah. Thank you to everyone listening to Easy English Podcast. Keep practicing, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.